Coming to you live here from Bad Kreuznach, in the town of Bad Kreuznach district in Rhineland-Palatinate, Germany. Spa town, most well known for its medieval bridge dating from 1300, the Altenachelbrück. We were supposed to be in Krefeld, but the U-Bahn kind of broke down. Anyway, we are here today with yet another day of a HomeStory Cup replay cast from the group stage. This time covering all the games that weren't covered from Group D. I am your host Yaku of Zaku, and with me today is el comedor de Scooby Snacks que tiene una participación en Taco Shack, like underscore VIP. How we doing, like?
Y todos los taco shacks, papi. Oh my god. But what is up, Yaku? It is great to be back, as you were saying, with another broadcast of HomeStory Cup. Unfortunately, we were supposed to be in Krefeld. We broke down, we got a little bit lost, we took a wrong turn, and we ended up in a very strange place.
But we found a cabin.
We found a cabin. We didn't find the same cabin, by the way. I don't know if you noticed, Yaku, but I love your recreation. It's amazing. It's beautiful. I also love, I don't know if this was intentional or not, that you got even the subtitle wrong. It's not a winter wonderland. It's a winter's dream. It's a dream.
We're in Wonderland right now. We're in Winter's Wonderland.
It's beautiful, Papi. It's beautiful. But yes, it is great to be back. For those wondering, a couple of days ago, we did cover Group A, the HomeStory Cup Group A, and today we're going to be covering Group D. The reason for that is because Group A was only one day, Group D is only one day, B and C are going to be multiple broadcasts because there's a lot more to cover. There's a lot more matches, so we'll be saving that for a later time.
A little bit down the line at some point, hopefully before the update comes in and breaks replays.
Yes, yeah, that's the thing. That's it's like a little bit selfish of me, but I'm glad that we haven't had an update yet because it hasn't broken the replays.
Yep.
I'm glad there hasn't been a patch yet. As soon as we finish casting HomeStory Cup, bring the patch, Papi, bring it in. Until then, please wait. Oh my god. But yeah, for those wondering, HomeStory Cup, of course, was a couple of months ago. It was last month, December.
1 month ago, yeah.
Yeah. It was live last month, but unfortunately, the majority of the games that were played at HomeStory Cup were not casted.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable why they did that. They only had the venue for a couple of days, so they had to, get things going as quickly as possible. A lot of matches were played simultaneously, but yeah, unfortunately there wasn't enough streams to cover it all live. Thankfully, that's why they gave out the replays.
Yeah, that's why the replay packs have been sent out into the public. This is where I have to post a bit of a disclaimer here. ! Funada Take TV. I mentioned this last stream, and I'll mention it one last time this time.
Yeah.
Here in Group D,
hopefully it's the last time.
Yeah, here in Group D, we have one of our own. We have Patty Mac, and he's amazing. He's beautiful. He played and he participated in HomeStory Cup. He was there. Unfortunately, the majority of his games that were played off stream, the replays were not saved. They were not a part of the replay pack. I was messaging Patty Mac about it. I was like, yo, they're not a part of the replay pack. What's going on? Do you have them? He's like, no, Take has them. Like, they're saved locally on those PCs. Like, they should have them. I don't have them. And it's like, oh.
SMH.
Yeah, so unfortunately, specifically for Group D, the replay pack is incomplete. So a lot of the matches of Patty Mac won't be shown. Feels bad, man, especially because I don't mind saying this because no one can ever cast it, I guess. Patty Mac did 2-0 trigger, and he also took down a laser as well in the group stage.
Not a spoiler.
Not a spoiler because no one can ever be spoiled because the games don't exist. The replays, they exist somewhere on a PC in Krefeld, but
somewhere in this cabin. The deep attic.
Maybe not even this cabin, okay? But yeah, so unfortunately those games won't be broadcasted. But Patty Mac, he did really well for himself in the group stage, and I'm really happy for him. And I know he had a great time as well. I would have loved to have, you know, kind of shone like a limelight or a spotlight on his games, and it would have been great to have seen him take down a laser and take down Trigger. But alas, that won't be happening.
Not yet, anyway. Not until the next HomeStory Cup.
exactly. Oh god, but you know, we can reminisce about what we can't see later, or you know, we're done with that. Now we can focus on what we will see, and we have our first series for us here tonight.
Yes, what we can see today is a whole lot of ZvZ, and we are starting off with one of them, Reynor versus soO, coming down.
Oh, yes, here we go. Our first of many ZvZs of the night. This group had a lot of Zergs alongside Trigger and Patty Mac, of course. And as you can imagine, the majority of the ZVPs were broadcasted on the mainstream, on the casting couch. So we gotta clean up what was left behind.
Yeah. You know, just check under the cushions a little bit here.
Yeah. We're looking for some gems here, and you know, even though there's going to be a lot of mirror matchups tonight, these are still some very high quality players.
Very much indeed, and of course one of them is a red Zerg player coming down in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, all the way in the bottom left-hand corner of data under the sea. I miss saying that so much. He is coming down from the land of Italy, representing KyZ Gaming, KZG. He is Reynor.
And spawning in the top right hand corner of data under the sea, we have his opponent, the South Korean Zerg player representing Kwangdong Freaks. It is soO.
Man, I'm still not used to calling them the Kwangdong Freaks.
I know.
You gotta be real, it's always a freak of freaks to me.
Yeah, it's you know, the name change, it's a bit of a shame. A Freak of Freaks will always be near and dear to my heart. But you know, it's also really cool that they still do support StarCraft in certain ways. They still have a lineup, not the deepest lineup, but a lineup nonetheless.
Yeah, oh well, there's a little bit of a teaser. Apparently in the Freaks' Korean store, you can buy a Stats jersey again.
Oh,
if that's any indication.
Oh my god, so Stats already has a team apparently.
We don't know, but that's an update.
We don't have confirmation, but you can buy some Stats merchandise over on the Kwangdong Freak store. That's really cool to hear. That's really cool. That's really sick.
Yeah, once again, getting the band back together a little bit in that respect, but obviously that is going to take a little while. So in the meantime, I guess soO will probably be the ace of the team.
Yeah, I really look forward to potentially seeing Kwangdong Freaks in the next season of WTL. If you recall, they actually dropped out of the previous season of World Team League. I think it was because they didn't have a consistent lineup available to participate, because Armani was relatively inactive at the time. So it would be really sick if Stats comes back as a part of the core of the team, and they can compete a little bit more. Because soO himself isn't too bad. He's still not kind of living up to his legacy at the moment, and that's kind of what I'm curious about here. We're going to be seeing a lot of soO tonight, and we're going to be seeing him go up against some of the best foreign Zerg players out there.
Yeah, I think that is probably the main kind of elephant in the room here when it comes to soO. He has, ever since he's come back from the military, he's still been pretty active, you know, signing up for whatever he can. But like you said, he hasn't really been making it all the way to finals like he used to.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he still has to regain and reclaim a lot of his kind of skill that he once had. Meanwhile, for the time being, we do see a little bit of lane control and micro between the two players. Nothing too crazy. We saw a hatch gas pool from both players. We see a third base on time as well, and we also see that neither player is skipping their bane lane nest.
Yeah, both players just playing it safe right now, which is honestly not what I would be expecting coming out from Reynor and soO.
Yeah, it almost feels as if they're kind of like testing each other here, bearing in mind that this is the first game between them, and this is actually the first round of the round robin stage of this group. So this is early in the morning in that broadcast day. Of course, HomeStory Cup is a bit of a marathon, and they do have a lot of games played throughout the entire evening, but this is, you know, early in the morning for them.
Yeah, still warming up, still waking up a little bit. And I guess yeah, can't be complaining too much about who their warm-up partners, quote-unquote, are.
Yeah, exactly. You know, were either of these players up late last night drinking in the club? That is the question. If any of them, most likely would have been Reynor.
Yep.
But maybe the group stage is a little bit too early for that. We do see soO, though, actually making a wave of Lings here. He is droning up behind this, but he is looking to apply some pressure. He is looking to maybe even deny this third.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the goal. There are already a couple of safety banelings out for Reynor right now, and those roaches pop out for him as well. That is the last thing soO wants to see right now after making this wave of Lings.
Yeah, exactly. Like soO, he cut drones to make this happen. You can see that soO is still behind in the worker count, and Reynor has been able to skip out on Lings, be a little bit more efficient, go straight into roaches, and so far he hasn't been punished. soO has potential to deal damage. We can see he still has a large force of Lings, but the vision is pretty good from Reynor. Like, he can keep up with all these rotations. He has eyes on everything due to all these overlords.
Yeah, it looks like soO doesn't really want to risk it right now. He's still keeping his Lings active on the map, just trying to get eyes on what that roach force of Reynor is really up to. He's really spooked. You can see he's made a spine crawler back home. He really doesn't want to be counterattacked right now.
Yeah, soO is so vulnerable right now because he's only just now working on his roach army. His first wave of roaches are on the way, and Reynor is straight up ahead from the early game. You know, in this mirror matchup, when a player invests in Lings this early and doesn't get any value from them, then it can be detrimental. But we'll see how things settle here. You know, soO's still trying to catch up economically, and there are ways to catch up outside of, you know, just roaches. There are ways to come back in this game.
Yeah, I definitely think that in ZvZ especially, if you're really on top of your queen injects, if you're really good at managing your larva, there is a lot of potential here to just try to out macro and overtake your opponent that way. But, oh, good denial.
Yeah, like, as you say it, here we go. soO, he comes in, he forces a cancel on the fourth base. He even gets a kill on the producing drone as well. So soO isn't doing too badly here, you know, when it comes to at least keeping Reynor back at home. But Reynor, with this lead, very smart. He is going straight into a spire behind this. So he's going to be forcing soO to react to him or be otherwise caught completely off guard.
Yeah, I do like that soO is on top of his range upgrades. He will have +2 range, but without a Hydra Den, I don't see a way for him to really make use of that. At least after Reynor finishes up his Spire. It does get scouted, though, by soO.
Yeah, both players with their Overseers are able to scout everything here. Reynor, of course, is able to confirm as well that a Hydra Den is going to be on the way, that there is no Spire from soO. So we do see both players kind of going into different tech paths. soO going into Roach Hydra, Reynor going into Roach Muta. To be fair, Reynor has a choice. He knows he got scouted. He can choose whether or not to invest into these mutas.
Yeah, there's obviously still potential for the mutants to sneak around and get a little bit of, drone damage here and there, but they're not going to be very useful in the main army engagements. You know, Roach Hydra may not be the most efficient use of supply, but it is a direct counter to Roach Muta, and as we say that, Reynor, he commits.
Yeah, he makes 6 mutas. I wouldn't be surprised if these are the only mutas that he makes, and this is just to clear out overlords, just to get map control, really, and force a reaction out of his opponent. We can see that he's mainly focusing on roach production, and here we go, Reynor, he's pushing it in. He finds a decent angle here at the fourth base. He's going to have a lot of surface area to work with.
Yeah, he's up in roaches, and he is well aware of that fact. He's doing everything he can to just keep the pressure up on soO and back him into a corner. The hatchery is getting dangerously low, and a lot of soO's roaches and ravagers are getting a little bit blocked behind. The mutas come in, just to clean up a couple of these weakened Ravagers and Roaches, and Reynor will get at 4th base.
Yeah, he gets the 4th, and that is all he really wanted out of this. At the same time, we see a Baneling drop into the main base of Reynor. 8 drones are going to be going down, and there's still 2 more Banelings headed towards the natural base as well, so soO isn't taking this line down. He's still sustaining a lot of losses due to those mutas, but the Bane drop comes in.
And it will wipe out another round of drones. 14 of them in total will go down. Reynor, I'm sure he would have really liked to just keep the pressure on. And actually, that's exactly what he's doing. He has not redroned. He's just making more Roaches and Ravagers.
Yeah, Reynor, you can see here in the supplies, he is maxed out on Roaches, Ravagers, and a handful of mutas. He's containing soO here to 3 bases, so Reynor straight up just has more production. He has more lava to work with, and he's looking to try and break up into this 3rd.
Yeah, this high ground is something that soO wants to utilize, but at this point, Reynor just has so much supply on him.
Oh, he does, but the defender's advantage, the high ground, on top of that, the ramp as well, is all kind of working in his favor. soO also had a spine crawler to support him. He has to be careful not to overextend here. Oh, he's even taking a couple of biles to the face.
Yeah, he's getting very far off of creep with a lot of his Roaches in the red. These mutas, I guess they've served their purpose. I was wondering why they weren't in that main fight.
Yeah, I mean, you were able to stave off some of the mutas for the time being. We can see here soO desperately trying to expand and take a 4th base. Reynor has eyes on this, and he's making a beeline for that 4th once again. Those Hydras are looking a little bit exposed, and Reynor, he's going for them.
Pathing issue almost killed those Hydras, but it looks like the Hydras will go down anyway. At least a bunch of them will.
Yeah, a couple of the Hydras get picked off, and that is cash money value for Reynor. Hydras are very gas intensive, especially compared to these Roaches and Ravagers. At the same time, the mutas are going in. Oh, they're getting picked off, but again, they're just forcing soO's attention between his 3rd and his 4th and just keeping him uncomfortable.
Yeah, he's keeping him on its toes, forcing him back and forth, and I think more importantly, he's also forcing soO to commit to these Hydras. Right now, I'm sure soO would much prefer to have nothing but Roaches and Ravagers. Hydras barely do anything against Roaches.
Yeah, usually in ZvZ, Hydras are just a stepping stone to get into Lurkers. Like, Lurkers are really what you want in the late game ZvZ. We'll see if we can get there. Like, soO, he's kind of working on that tech, but he doesn't have the breathing room to really make that at the moment. He's still struggling to max out, as once again, Reynor is pushing in towards the 4th.
And the 4th does finish up. It's so low! 1 more bile will take it out, and I don't see any... I don't see any queens to transfuse. The mutas do come in for the flank, and 1 shot was all it took to take out that hatchery. soO's all in now.
Wow, there we go. soO is all in. We see another Roach hit squad here on the right-hand side, just going to be keeping the reinforcements of soO busy. At the same time, the main engagement is going on. soO has a decent army supply. It's not looking too bad, to be honest, but he has no longevity in this game. That's the 2nd time his 4th got sniped.
Yeah, reminder, that was a kill and not a cancel.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of minerals down the drain here. The mutas from the early game or from the mid game, they're still picking off a couple of units here and there. They're still just getting more and more value over the course of this game. Every Roach and every Hydra that they get is that much better. Oh.
Bit of an awkward time to split off his forces. But he's coming back. He's coming back for a flank and should be able to pick off this force of Roaches. We'll see if that gives soO enough momentum to keep on going. Tunneling Claws did just finish up for Reynor, though. And there isn't detection here, aside from this Overseer, but they're still vulnerable to the mutas.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And it looks like soO's his attention is being forced down towards the bottom right-hand corner of the map, and Reynor is coming in. He is bypassing the army entirely. soO completely out of position.
And now Reynor has the high ground, and he is making full use of that with these biles.
Yeah, exactly. At the same time, reinforcements are coming out, so maybe soO can still take this fight, but the positioning from Reynor is still pretty good. Even if Reynor loses this army, he's still trading quite well.
Yeah, and let's not forget, Reynor has a little bit of a bank to make use of. He doesn't have a very large bank, but it's larger than what soO has, and it's definitely more than enough to just remax on Roaches and Ravagers. soO has lost a lot, and now he wants to go for a counterattack, but I don't think he can win the game.
Yeah, and now we've gotten to the point where we can see that losing the 4th over and over again, the fact that soO has been stuck on 3 bases, that's really showing right now. We can see in the disparity of the army supplies right now, Reynor, he just keeps remaxing, and soO, he just can't.
Yeah, it's nice that while that was going on, he was able to snipe the 5th base of Reynor, but that was Reynor's 5th base,
Yeah.
as soO is only now starting to saturate his 4th.
Oh, exactly. It may just be a little bit too little too late here. We do see another Roach hit squad on the right-hand side, just hitting the economy of soO. soO, he just can't keep up with the constant aggression. He just doesn't have the supply to split up his army, because if he does, he's just going to lose the main army engagement.
He needs to be a little bit careful about how he engages this. Reynor being a little sneaky with his Sunlen Clout Roaches. We do see a huge assault here towards the south. But now the Roaches have him borrowed towards the north, and even if soO can win 1 engagement, but he can't win 2.
Yeah, exactly, and it's arguable that he can even win 1 right now. Like, he's trying to push Reynor back, and he is, but he lost 11 drones in the process, and soO just doesn't have the army to counterattack right now. He's still struggling to deal with all these Roaches. There's even Roaches in the main.
Yeah, like so.
Yeah, Reynor just being as annoying as possible with splitting up Roaches in every single base here of soO. Eventually, soO's going to be able to clean all of this up. And you could argue that, you know, Reynor, he can maybe be looking ahead and getting into a hive and working on 3-3. You know, maybe staying on 2-2 isn't the smartest thing to do. But, I mean, he can afford to do it anyway. Like, there's nothing really pressuring him to take up.
Look, hive is for squares.
Look, hive is for Cyril, okay? Like,
hive is for Cyril, yeah.
And Reynor, of
hive
course.
is for ZVP.
He doesn't need it. He doesn't want it. He's trying to push up this ramp, and it's still going to be a difficult thing to do. Like, again, soO does have a pretty nice position up here. It's going to be difficult to break this, but Reynor, he just keeps splitting off some units.
Yeah, there's the infestation pit being thrown down by Reynor. And that's really I guess emblematic of just how far ahead Reynor is right now. I mean, even looking at the worker difference, soO's down over 20 drones.
Yeah, he's down over 20 drones. That's the 3rd time that hatchery has been sniped, by the way. And it's just been a slow death here for soO. You can see that he's fighting his heart out, and you know, part of this could also be the fact that it is his first series of the day, and he could just be warming up, and he wants to try and just fight his heart out right now and prove that he can. And he's even going to be able to take this fight. Like, the biles weren't too bad here. He's going to be able to clean this up, but at what cost?
Yeah, it looks like the game should be ending pretty soon, but there we go. But at least soO will go out on a bang. GG, Reynor takes game number 1 in this best of 2 group stage match.
GG, well played. And this felt relatively straightforward. Like, the openers were quite standard. It's just that, if you remember in the beginning, soO decided to be a little bit more aggressive, and he kind of ended up putting himself behind a little bit just because he really struggled to make use of the early Ling Bane, and he ended up cutting his own drone count quite early on.
Yeah, he kind of put himself in a bit of a deficit. I mean, getting those Lings alone already put him a little bit behind, but then, understandably, he decided to play it more careful and got that Spine Crawler. Just really wary about a Roach timing coming out from Reynor, and from there, he just was never really able to catch back up. I think you said it yourself with the Hydras as well. It was a bit of a questionable move there from soO to get that and not really transition to Lair. But in fairness, Reynor never really gave him a chance to tech up in the Lair. That 4th base just kept going down and down and down.
Yeah, like, I guess specifically what you're talking about is like trying to get into lurker play, right? Because if he's able to pull that off, then we probably get a different game. But like, we saw how aggressive and how in his face Reynor was, right? Like, I don't think there was ever after a certain point, he was just always just throwing Roaches at him, and sometimes not in the most efficient way. But the point of that was just to keep forcing more units out of soO and just never give him the opportunity to make any lurkers or transition into lurkers.
Yeah, that was a point a bit earlier in the game, I think, when soO was able to seek out those Banelings and make use of those Banelings he made in the early game. You're getting a couple of drones here and there, but once he used those up, there was no real way for soO to really apply any counter pressure.
Yeah.
Reynor may have been trading inefficiently, but he would always kill just enough roaches and ravagers of soO that soO was just never really able to go for a counterattack.
Yeah, exactly. And oh, that was a bit of a rough first game there for soO, and we'll see if he can bring it back here in game number 2. As a reminder, this is a best of 2, not a best of 3. So soO, he has the opportunity to tie up the series 1-1, or he could end up losing the series 2-0.
Yeah, and that's always going to be rough here. Especially in the group stage. Every single map win counts. But regardless, we are... Oh, did not mean to put that up. We are going to be continuing our best of 2 group stage match here on Inside and also out. We're in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, starting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have our red Zerg player coming out from the land of Italy. He is going to be representing KZ Gaming, KZG. He is Reynor.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Inside and Out, I believe going for a 14 pool. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Kwangdong Freaks. It is soO. And did you see what Reynor just did?
I did not.
Oh boy, so we have soO opening up with a 14 pool, so this is very aggressive coming out from soO. Not hyper aggressive, but aggressive nonetheless. Reynor opened up very safe with a pool first.
This is not boding too well for soO.
Oh, it really isn't. Ay. So, of course, we're going to have a lot of lings early on to work with for soO, and this is supposed to catch your opponent off guard. This is going to hit early. This is going to hit later than a 12 pool, but earlier than a 16 pool. So these lings are going to be rushing across the map to get some damage done. But because Reynor opened up safe, I mean, he should be safe.
Yeah, there are already going to be 6 lings to meet the 6 lings of soO by the time they make it across the map. This is a gasless 14 pool, by the way, coming out from soO. So yeah, Reynor's going to be pretty far ahead when it comes to his tech. He has already scouted the lings with his overlords, and now actually going off the high ground.
Yeah, he just meets the lings here out on the map. If he wanted to, he could have tried to make use of the high ground, but regardless, Reynor just shoos soO away, and Reynor isn't in such a bad position. I say that there's a couple of... Yeah, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I really like that mental image of Reynor just shooing away
like,
soO.
Get out of here.
Like,
yeah.
Go.
That's pretty much what happened. The biggest differences here, you pointed it out, this is gasless from soO. So even though he opened up with a 14 pool, you can see that he's ahead in drones right now, and that is because he has just been mining nothing but minerals. That's because he hasn't wasted lava or drones on making a gas geyser and pulling in and back out of gas. So he has kind of adapted this in a certain way to get other advantages instead.
Yeah, namely an economic advantage, but look at the production tab. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to hold on to it for too long.
Yeah, Reynor is going for a ling flood, a ling all in here. Reynor is off of 19 drones, and soO, it could be over before it began. soO needs to realize what's happening and wall off immediately. Bearing in mind, there's no bailings with this. If soO is able to get a wall up and running, then he can hold on and he can survive.
I don't think he's really recognized what's going on just yet. Is that creep tumor going to be in the way of his wall?
He's gonna have to build around it. There we go. The Eva chamber is thrown down, and that's okay. You know, we have the queen in position as well. But here we go. The lings are on the way. Reynor is pulling the trigger. He's all in.
Yeah, and we'll see if he's going to be able to break through this. A lot of these buildings are still fairly low. soO doing a pretty good job, actually, a very good job of re-walling as quickly as possible, but is there just too much right now for Reynor? The links break on through!
Yeah, they break on through. They break through the secondary wall as well. The boys are being pulled. The drones are falling left and right. These are slow lings. They stand no chance against the speedlings of Reynor. And now the service area on these queens, it's going to be too much.
Yeah, even with the transfuses, Reynor just finds a way in, and he's going to be taking this best of 2 series 2-0. GG is called, and Reynor is in fact going to be the first player to wake up a little bit here in this group stage, and take the first W of this very long day of groups.
Wow, GG, well played. I mean, you could say that Reynor's the first to wake up, but really, it's soO who just got a bit of a rude awakening here.
Yeah.
Oh my god, GG, well played. soO going for a gasless opener off of a 14 pool, and yeah, just was really unlucky with how he rolled the dice. We saw that his lings early on did absolutely nothing, and Reynor, upon recognizing what he was playing against, he immediately just stopped droning, just pulled up a bunch of lings, and he knew how vulnerable soO would be. Oh.
Yeah, one of our players able to, I guess, really read the situation a lot quicker than the other.
Yeah, exactly. Bearing in mind that throughout all of that, soO wasn't scouting. I mean, it's difficult to scout because he didn't have any link speed. So his scouting information was limited to his overlords only, to try and get an eye on what the drone count was, on whether or not there was a third base. He had very limited information to work with, and Reynor was able to abuse that beautifully and take, yeah, a really strong 2-0.
Yeah, I think this bodes well for Reynor, going into not just the rest of this group, but into the rest of this tournament as well. I definitely consider him to be one of the favorites.
Yeah, I mean, these groups are all pretty stacked, but, you know, you got players like Reynor, you've got Clem, you've got Cyril, like a lot of the big names in Europe. You know, this is kind of their home turf and home ground, and they're here to defend it. And it's these international players that are coming in that are looking to kind of fight for that. You know, soO, he's coming in from Korea. It was a couple of days ago when we casted Group A. We saw nice 2-0 Clem, and we were like, damn. Like, oh my god. Like, it's really cool to see players from these other regions that don't get as much attention, like, really get some solid results. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case for soO here, but I'm sure there are going to be more opportunities.
Yeah, it's a large group.
Yeah.